Very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in today's session. So as we are aware that, for last 18, 20 months in particular, we have been living in a very different era, and the businesses have been forced to change the way they used to work in past. In security industry as well, we have done a lot of improvements over past 4-5 years, and in particularly, if you take examples, multiple examples of last 18 to 20 months, the shift has happened not only in the way of how businesses have worked and evolved, how the attackers have changed their game, but how the customers have adopted the cloud. Because no one was prepared for this pandemic. No one knew anything about how the business will happen in this era of remote working, right? So today, I'm going to talk about some of the key challenges in cloud security, the key motivators of migrating to cloud, and how Sophos can solve and how Sophos can bridge these gaps of cloud security. As introduced by Pragya, my name is Nishant Tripathi and I'm part of sales engineering here at Sophos. I'm based out at New Delhi. So let's begin what I have to share with you today. As we are aware that as we migrate to clouds, it's not only about putting up our servers and applications onto the cloud and accessing them from anywhere. This cloud adoption has given a lot of opportunities for companies to grow, lot of opportunities to adopt new business processes. But on the same time, this has also given a lot of additional surface area to making an attack from the attacker's point of view. So cyber criminals, they have been very much sophisticated in today's time. They have introduced new ways to launch. And it's not only about, malwares or ransomwares. There have been multiple incidents of data breaches. There have been multiple incidents of unauthorized access and crypto mining or crypto jacking kind of concepts, right? So it's not only about malwares and ransomware in today's time. The customers are more concerned about the data breaches in today's time. And if you talk about data breaches, as per Gartner, 95% of the security failures, it happens because fault done by someone in a customer organization. If you see these stats, if you go to cloud, there have been multiple roles assigned to the person who accesses it, right? There have been multiple attempts to access the cloud workloads. Attackers are trying brute force attack to get into your cloud environment, right? And most of the things are happening because simple misconfiguration, right? A small misconfiguration into your cloud environment can lead to disasters. So my focus today will be educating everybody here and telling my experiences, what we hear when we speak to our customers. Let me start with this analogy with an on-premise infrastructure or a data center. It's like this particular home or house, whatever you may call it. It has one entry and one egress point, right? That means if you put up a security guard at the gate, he knows who all went inside and who is going out. Similarly, all of us were accustomed to this kind of business setup where all the users, all the critical servers, they are sitting behind a network firewall, and this firewall has access controls. All the traffic passes through it, right? But in today's time, it's very straightforward, right? So the kind of work we used to do for last many years. But this cloud adoption, it has actually blown this concept apart. Now, you forget that house with one entry and exit door. Now this cloud infrastructure is more like this particular house, where there are more than one entry and exit points, and there can be multiple possibilities by which somebody can look into it, what is happening inside, right? So similarly, if you take this analogy with this cloud infrastructure, I'm sure all of you must agree with me that it all takes someone to do a small misconfiguration in the routing table of your firewall who has access to all your cloud resources, all the virtual machines, server workloads, all the sensitive data that is accessible from the internet. As per a recent survey, these misconfiguration leads to almost 68%, 68% of the incidents in cloud. That's huge. That means almost 7 out of 10 customers who have put their resources onto the cloud, they have faced some kind of attack or breach. It also likely to introduce, so if somebody from outside gets into your cloud infrastructure, they will also be introduced not only with these virtual machines, but your containers, your storage buckets, serverless functions, and a lot more things, right? So it's very important to understand as a customer, what is your responsibility? Why am I saying this? Because when I interact to my customers, who have recently migrated to cloud, majority of the customers, believe me, they don't understand the responsibility, what they have with them, and what is the cloud service provider's responsibility. If you ask me in a simple language, cloud security is a shared responsibility model, right? Public cloud providers like AWS and Azure, they are going to protect the infrastructure. That means security of the cloud is the responsibility of the cloud service provider. However, whatever things you put inside the cloud, that automatically becomes the customer's responsibility. So if you are putting up your servers, your databases, access controls, yes, of course, they provide a basic firewall. You can have some access controls, but if you want a full-fledged security with access controls, ideally you should think about deployment of cloud firewall. You should think about deployment of host security. So let me do a bit of deep dive into it, right? So here I have mentioned some of the things which is related to the access controls, like the WAF, if you've got application servers hosted, IPS. For remote access, there's VPN, right? And then basic firewalling, right? So for all those things, the Sophos has the solutions available. Sophos firewalls are available on public cloud, AWS, Azure, Nutanix. We are available on all these platforms. And our InterceptX Advanced, which is the flagship component of our endpoint and server security, that is also available on the cloud platform as a cloud workload protection. I'm going to touch a bit more about this thing in a moment, because as I mentioned, it's not only about protection. We should be focusing about detection and response. And when it comes to detection and response, I'm sure many of the customers, they think that it is related only to the users or maybe the on-premise infrastructure, but that's not the case. Detection and response is equally important in the cloud infrastructure as well, right? On top of it, cloud infrastructure is highly dynamic. That means as a customer, if in my interaction, if I ask one of my customer who is not using any kind of cloud security posture management kind of solution, he actually is not aware about the exact inventory information or the traffic flow or the compliance status for that matter in real time. That's very crucial, right? So we have a solution called Cloud Optics. Cloud Optics is an agentless solution. It gets integrated with multiple cloud infrastructures using APIs, fully compatible with AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. On a single pane of glass, it is going to give you complete visibility of your cloud infrastructure. So let me talk about what all the solutions we have. Till now, we have been talking about the key challenges. Now let us talk about solutions. If we talk about solutions, the first thing is protection of workload. The first primary concern of any customer into the cloud infrastructure is protection of workloads and secure access to networks. I spoke about network firewalls and server security in the form of intercept access points for servers. Right? In Sophos server security, we have included the component of detection and response and a bit more about compliances. I'm going to touch base about that. If you think a little beyond, it's very important to provide a secure connectivity. So we have been talking about VPN. Now, zero trust network access is the new thing. Good news is Sophos has already initiated the early access program for our customers. And in this quarter only, we are going to launch our ZTNA offering for all of you. And we have been providing fantastic solutions for DevOps as well. So let me talk about that in a moment. After all of this, when we talk about detection and response, it becomes equally important to understand that what all capabilities a customer may have. If they don't have the in-house expertise or time to do the detection and response, they can always go with Sophos Managed Threat Response, Sophos MTR. It's a 24/7 threat detection and response service delivered by an expert team of Sophos. So this is what I was discussing about in the host security in cloud infrastructure. The best part is if you have Sophos server security licenses, irrespective of what kind of servers you have, whether you have on-premise, virtual, or cloud-hosted servers, same license works for all. If the servers are hosted on cloud, you get some extra functionalities which I have mentioned on CloudOptics. That means information about the host, information about the inventory, and on top of it, the protection piece, the detection and response, prevention from fileless malwares, prevention from ransomware attacks, complete visibility of your cloud infrastructure, function of automated rollback, capacity and capability of locking down the known good state of your servers with the help of server lockdown functionality, so that any unauthorized application will not be executed onto your servers, because servers are purpose specific. You cannot allow an unauthorized application to be executed onto your critical servers, right? So this is what, in a summary, if we talk about server protection, coupled with detection and response capabilities, it is also going to provide you not only the protection, but inventory information and benchmarking, CIS benchmarking as well. But if you want to have full-fledged visibility about the host, the inventory, the traffic flow, not only this, we have also giving spend monitoring feature in CloudOptics, where you can have a daily, monthly, weekly, quarterly monitoring of what all spends been happening onto your cloud infrastructure. So this is how the console looks. It's very neat and clean. You will get the complete visibility of your infrastructure, from where the traffic coming and going out, what are the security groups are there, what is the real compliance status, and it will also just not give you notification, but it will also give you the remediation step. So if there is any compliance deviation, it is also going to provide you the details how to remediate that. Similarly, firewalls are available with full stack of protection, IPS, ATP, WAF feature, and complete dashboarding. On top of it, let me touch a bit about the DevSecOps, because when we talk about DevOps approach, there have been multiple teams, who works for a common shared goal, right? So teams who do the application development, then there's a team who works on the security and compliance, and there's a team of operations who does the delivery part and final checks. But it's very important to do the scanning of infrastructure, IAC. IAC scanning is very important if we talk about any development scenario, right? So Sophos CloudOptics has this feature. It gets integrated with your IAC. It scans your IAC code. So a developer gets to know If there is any misconfiguration or any configuration gap or any compliance related things which is missing, or maybe at a lower layer, that can be rectified before it goes into the production. Similarly, containers, there have been multiple incidents because developers take off-the-shelf containers to test the applications and see how it is working, right? So again, container scanning is very critical component of Sophos Cloud Optics, which I'm sure all of you who are into the DevOps understand the importance of security, and that's the reason we have been seen and change the terms from DevOps to DevSecOps. We have now included security as a very critical component of our cloud infrastructure. And on top of it, there is a managed threat response service, which is not only available for Sophos firewall or Sophos endpoint or server security, but your cloud infrastructure as well, right? So this expert team is going to get information related to the threat telemetry data, generating not only from endpoints and servers, not only from the ATP and IPS events from the firewall, but from the cloud resources as well. If there is anomaly, that can be searched, that can be mitigated by this MTR team. So what this MTR team actually does, as I mentioned, it's a threat response service delivered by expert team of Sophos. It proactively hunts and validates any kind of potential threats and incidents. And it does not stop at notification. The very important point is it takes remediative action. If there is a malicious activity happening, it will just don't stop at notification. It will just don't do that, we have done the notification and our job is done. It is going to hunt for it and utilize the threats. It also applies the business context, why it is happening, if the similar kind of incidents happening in the similar industry or some other company in the same industry, that is going to be applied using BI tools. Then it is also going to provide some advices on the quarterly basis or as and when required to the customer. As I mentioned, there have been multiple products which comes under the scope of managed threat response service. So there are connectors available, and using these connectors, this MTR team gets the information about all the threat related information in terms of threat telemetry data, and they are going to get the required contextual data on which they can take actions. So let me summarize the entire discussion. From beginning, I've been talking about the multiple challenges vis-a-vis advantages of moving onto the cloud that I'm sure till now you must have been understood. To mitigate these challenges, we have been providing multiple solutions to our customers in terms of firewall on cloud, host security, XDR solutions, cloud optics as a cloud security posture management product, and on top of it, the managed threat detection and response service. All these things, whatever I have been talking about, the best part is everything gets managed from one single management console that is called Sophos Central. So there is one source of truth by which you are going to get the complete visibility, information, alerts, policy management, compliance status, all those things. With this thought, I would like to bring it to close, and I would like to thank all of you.